Hey YouTube, today I'm going to make a video on how to repair a faulty switch on a Spektrum NX series transmitter. I was shooting a video a little while ago configuring the E-flite T-28 Trojan 1.2 aircraft. In that video, which you'll see on my channel, is at some point in the video I'm trying to configure the switches for safe mode, and the audio kind of goes erratic and keeps saying safe mode or something over and over and over again. I turned off the transmitter, turned it back on, and finished the setup. Then a month or two later, I was at the field. I was flying an extra 300 when the plane went into safe mode unexpectedly, which means, as most of you know, you have limited bank and roll. So when that happened, it severely limited my ability to bank the airplane or roll the airplane. So I, of course, while I was trying to figure out what was going on, I did need to keep the plane under control. So I was using the control stick. And of course, I was turning it really far like this in order to control the airplane. And then when I had it really far like this, all of a sudden safe mode went off. And of course, it started doing some extremely, an extra at full aileron is going to do some extreme rolls. And then safe mode went back on and then went back off. And quite frankly, between it being on and off and the extreme differences in an extra when safe mode's on and off, I just about lost the plane. Luckily, I was able to recover and land it. And at that point, I figured out the switch I use for safe, which is this one, which is, I think it's labeled B it's labeled B on this, is faulty. Fast forward, how do you confirm that you have a faulty switch? The best way I figured that out is this. So you go in here and you go down to audio events here. Let me see if I can zoom in on this screen to help you guys out. I think you can probably see that. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. So back to the main screen, just to start all over. Go to this screen. Go down to audio events, set a switch change audio event. And as you can see here, I've set it here, but you can say add a new event. You pick the switch. We could do this one, for example, switch C, and then you pick what sound you want it to make when switch C is selected. So I won't do that because I don't need one on switch C. Well, I guess I added one anyway. We'll just go back to inhibit to get rid of that one. But I've already got one made for B. And basically the way I fly is on this switch right here.
AS3X mode. Safe mode.
Down is safe mode. It's a 3-position switch.
AS3X mode. AS3X.
So both top positions are AS3X. But the point here is, if you want to test these at home without having an airplane in the air, set audio events, toggle the switch, toggle the switch quite a few times, play around with it, see if you can get it to fail. The good thing is you've got an audible cue if there's a problem, and of course it's not going to do it on this video, but we'll try a few times. And I've already taken the screws out of the back, but we'll get into that in a second. Okay, so it appears to be working, but yesterday I was flying, and lo and behold, the same thing happened. When this happened a month or two ago, I replaced the switch, and apparently Spektrum will not sell you switches. Your only choice with Spektrum is to send the controller back to them, the transmitter. It's not under warranty, so I guess you'd pay a $50 or something repair fee. I'm not exactly sure what they charge. So last time this happened, I bought a Futaba switch because Spektrum does not sell their switches. You may be able to find some really old Spektrum switches on Amazon or eBay out there that'll be wired to a wiring harness that wouldn't match the NX transmitter. So you would have to unsolder it from the wires that's on it and use it in this transmitter. So I didn't want to do that. I bought a Futaba switch. I was flying yesterday. Same problem happened. Wasn't as bad, but I was flying along and it said safe mode all of a sudden, and I knew that it was in safe mode. I toggled the switch all the way to the top, like this, and then landed the plane. I then switched my safe switch to this one, which I don't usually use for anything, which is switch C, and finished my day out just using switch C for my airplanes. But I really like having safe mode set here. It's just the ergonomics of the way I fly. I like to fly. Of course, I'm holding it with the strap in the middle. That's the lanyard, but I fly like this. I fly 2 fingers on this stick for maximum control, thumb on this stick, and then I fly with my pointer finger on this one. So if I ever get in trouble, in a pinch, I can just push it down real quick and be in safe mode. So I fly, this is my ergonomics I fly in. And so I like it that way because if I ever have an issue, I can just really quick to safe mode. I do that because I like to fly lots of loops and barrel rolls and all kind of more erratic flying, and so it allows me to click safe mode on really quick. The switch messed up again yesterday, so we're going to take this apart and see if we can't get to the bottom of what's going on. So the first thing I'd recommend is obviously you're going to turn it over. So the first thing you really need to do is turn it off. Okay. Then when you turn it over, there are 8 screws you'll need to take out, and they're all visible and not hidden. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then up here it's 7, 8. The only problem is for these last 2, there and there, I'll try to get it where you guys can see it. This bar is in the way of your screwdriver going straight in. Not really a big issue. I already took this apart, but for demonstration purposes, I'll show you what I did. So first of all, you don't have to worry about which screws which. There's 8 of them. They're all identical. So there you go. 8's out. But I did put the handle back on for the demonstration and to show you. So the first thing you'll need to do is either get the original box back out. If you still have the box of the transmitter, it has a wonderful piece of cardboard in it. That piece of cardboard will allow you to lay it on its face and put pressure on it without damaging the gimbals. I have that out in the garage, but I have this box I use to store my transmitters and chargers in. So, you got all these switches sticking up here. I've got a big cavity here. I can put it face down in here without damaging any of the switches or gimbals. Find something like this or find your original box. But to get in there, you got to take the handle off, which is really simple also. It's no hidden screws at all. There's 2 screws right here on the back. Once you get that lifted up, you just kind of push it down and it'll come right off like that. And now, as I told you, I already took the 8 screws out before we got on here just to save time in the video. One of the things I would recommend at this point is probably taking it and unplugging it if you're sure it's the switch. Go ahead and take the battery out, but I'm going to do one more test before I take the battery out. So I'm going to leave the battery in for a minute. And then now that I've got all the 8 screws out, I can lift this off, but barely, because there's electronics on both the back and the front side of this board. And actually one of and there's wires and cables that connect the top and the bottom. So you can't just take it apart and open it up. The shortest wire is the battery, so I'm not going to be able to take it apart very far until I do unplug the battery. But what I'd like to do is take this and just barely set it off like that, right? Now let's zoom in on the area I'm working so that you can see what I'm doing here. This is the switch I'm working on here. This is the back of the other switches that are on the front. So you could do the same thing to any switch in here by just lifting this off. I'd say this one up here, usually used for gear and so forth, these lower switches that are 2 positions. That's A and H, I think, are the 2 switches on this one. They would be harder to get to because they're kind of up on the inside, but I'm pretty sure I could get to them if I had to. But now that we have this open just a little bit, and like I said, I can't open it real far because of everything that's inside of here, and the front's been held to the back, I can get to this wire that's on this switch right here, right? This wire. And this wire is the wire that's connecting this switch to the transmitter. So what I'm going to do now that I have that open, I really shouldn't have turned it off, I guess, but for the demonstration I wanted to just turn it back on. Okay, we're back on now. I had the throttles, the gimbal set to do something. That's why I was making that noise. Okay, so now that I have it on here.
AS3X mode. AS3X mode. Safe mode.
I want to make sure it's just shorting the switch and not this wire. So this wire plugs into a harness right here, which I'm really not going to, I'm going to try not to mess with, but it's this white harness right here. It has all the switches on the side plugged into it, but what I'm going to do is wiggle it. I'm going to wiggle it to see if there's a short in the wire or a short over here on this end. I'm not really detecting a short, so I think it is this switch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to proceed to replace this switch. What I've done is I bought this one on Amazon. I'm trying to remember what brand it was at the moment. Let me get the brand for you. I'll be right back. I'll put these. I'll put this switch I bought on Amazon. I will put it in the comments in the description below. What you have to make sure is switches seem to be pretty standard across all of these transmitters. I'm getting them in the light so you can see what's written on them. There you go. There's a couple of differences. The shape of the switch. That is, this one's a flat switch and it's short. They make a flat long one. And they make one that's not flat, that's round, and they make a short and long in it. So what you have to do is look for the right switch shape. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like this is a long one right here. And then this is the short one that we're going to be working on way down here. I wanted one that matched, so I had to be. And then the other thing is they're either 2-position or 3-position switches. You need to make sure you buy that because this one here is a 2-position switch, on, off, and this one's a 3-position toggle. You got to make sure you buy the right number of positions and, of course, the shape of the switch and the length of the switch if that matters to you. All right, so with that, I'm going to barely set this back together just so I can get in here and turn the power off on this side. Okay, now that we got the power off, I'm going to remove the battery. Okay, now that we got the battery out, we'll set that aside. And actually the battery is, like I said, one of the cables that makes it where you can't open this very far. But now I can open it a little further. You can see down inside there is like that big gold ribbon there and all kind of other stuff. I'd like to show you one more thing, but I don't know if I can or not. I'll try. You know, the SD card that goes in the bottom here. When you look at the transmitter, it has internal storage you use a lot of times when you save models and stuff. If you ever have a problem with that, if you take this transmitter apart, I hope I can get it in there. There it is right there. Right there is another SD card. So the internal storage is actually just another SD card inside of the transmitter. So you could actually take that out, put it in an SD card reader, plug it in your computer. If you have a corrupt file or something like that you need to get off of there, you can actually take the card out of the transmitter, put it in your computer, delete some files, add files, whatever it is you think you need to do, and you can put it back in this transmitter. So that's pretty nice. I wish almost you could access it without taking the transmitter apart, but I guess Horizon or Spektrum doesn't want you to do that. So anyway, so step one is to take the old switch out. It's remarkably easy. What you will need to do is remember, I'm taking the switch out of the bag here off the camera. That's not a big deal. I'll show you what we got here. So I got this switch here. This is the one we're going to replace it with. It's going to go here. What you're going to notice is the order in which the wires are. See how there's 3 pins right here. 1, 2, 3. The order of the wires are white closest to the top of where we're working. So white, technically the bottom of the transmitter, but white is the one at the top of where we're going to be working today. So it goes white, red, black. You're going to need to make sure you put those wires exactly back like that, or on your screen when you reverse switches and stuff, it's going to be all backwards. So white, red, black. That's the order we're going to go with to make sure we put them back in the same order. There is a threaded like nut holding this switch in, and I'm going to show you what came with the new one so to give you an idea. See those little bitty notches right here? Yep, and right here. So they're actually on the outside of the controller right here. So I'm going to stick a screwdriver in it and just try to turn it to the left a little bit like that, like we're unscrewing it, and I've already loosened it. And now you can see I can probably finger thread it now, but just using a little flathead screwdriver, I was easily able to take this switch out of the mount. And there you go, it's out. There's the, I'll show you what I was working with. See, looks the same as the new one that was in the package. All right, then I'm gonna slide this switch out here. There's the switch I'm replacing. It's got this big washer on it. My package has a washer. It doesn't really match this one, so I think I'll put the Spektrum one back in there. Looks like that. The one that came in my package is like a locking one, like a lock washer. Looks like this. I think either one would really work. I'm going to go with the one that's in the controller because I know it'll fit. And it's actually a little bit bigger around. So it should be, you know, like I said, the Spektrum knows it fits in there, so we're going to go with what they've got. All right. So with that, we now have the switch out. Here's the next hard step. If you don't know how to solder, I'm sure there's plenty of videos on the internet that'll teach you how to solder on YouTube, but I have to disconnect these 3 wires off of this switch and put them on this switch. So let me get my soldering iron. Okay, got my soldering iron out. I mean, it's an older one. It's a Weller. It's a pretty good iron. I think they don't make this model anymore in particular. It's this Weller right here. They have since come out with obviously a digital screen one, but this is a pretty nice one nonetheless. I'm probably going to turn it up. We'll start at about 750 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we'll get started. Let's see, get it back where you guys can see what's going on. I will not claim to be a person that's great with a soldering iron. We'll get the job done. It'll be ugly. Let's see what we can do here. If you know how to solder, you can skip this step. White, red, black. That's what it was. Don't forget that. I'm not gonna. So you heat up the solder to get it off of this one. White's off, red's off, black is off. So the Futaba switch I'd put in has been removed. So let's put the other one in and see what happens. On this one, I'm going to get my, let me put that down. I don't want to get burned. I'm going to use this solder here, a roll of solder. For you that are familiar with solder, I'm going to put some solder in those holes on these. That way it will hold the switch very well. It's easier to solder. It's easier to connect solder to solder than it is to connect something to bare metal. So what you want to do is prep the surface. Let's see if I got a bigger piece of solder. That's really good on solder. We might try this bigger piece of solder here. So what you want to do is prep your material. And as you can watch, it melts pretty quick. Solder's designed to do that. So I'm going to heat this object and touch, see there? Put a little bead. Oh, It was off screen. We'll try it on the next one. Let me scoot the screen back just a hair. Okay. Let's try that again. So I'm going to heat up one of these little knobs, little tabs sticking out. I'm going to touch the solder to it. And you can see it filled it in. Now I've got 2 of them with solder on. And let's do the 3rd one. Heat that tab. Touch the solder to it. Boom. Alright. Now you can see I've got solder on each one of these. Should be enough to do it. Now the tricky part. I don't have nice soldering jigs, so this ought to be fun. I guess we'll go with white. Now, I'd really like to do red first, but it's in the middle. Okay, red goes in the middle. With nothing holding all this, it's going to get pretty complicated. Let me see what I can do to get something to hold it. Alright, I didn't really find anything to hold it. Let's just try it here real quick. See if we can get it on there. Okay, I'm going to heat the center tab back up. I'm going to touch that to it. Alright, we got the red one on. Let's go for the white one here on top. It's on. I'm not sure I like it. It's a very fine wire there. Yeah, it's already back off. Alright, let's try that again. Probably should have left it, but that's okay. I didn't like the way it looked. Finger's a little too close in there. Okay, white should be connected. Let's get this black on there. Alright, I think we've got all connected. I see all connections. I'm checking them now to see if they look like they're good and strong. Like I said, they're not pretty. I am not a person that knows how to do great solder work, but pulling on a little bit, they all feel really good. Alright, so now we're going to put that big washer back on that was in there. And then I'm going to slip the switch in this hole just like that. Okay. Now I need to get this this little nut that was on there. Got on the middle, maybe it'll spin it on easier. Okay. Kind of twist it to where you like it. Okay, switches back in. Now I'm going to look at this wire routing. Let me get a little closer for you. Okay, so I'm looking at the over on the other side that you can't see, but this wire to stay out of the gimbal is up above this post, which is where one of the screws go. So we're just going to put it back in there like that. That way we don't interfere with our gimbal controls. Check that red wire one last time. Looks pretty connected. And you know, once you get the thing back together, it should not wiggle around at all. So I'm going to set that back on like that. And then of course, I'm not going to take you through all these, but you're going to put the screw back, 8 screws back in. I'm just going to put like maybe 1 or 2 in and flip it over and test it before putting all of them back together in case there's some sort of problem. I don't want to have to take them all back out again. There's 1 in. Don't want to over tighten them. It's plastic and plastic. It's a metal screw and plastic, so it's stripped pretty easily. I'm just going to put one kind of down here at the cross corner. You can't really see, but it's down the bottom, the adjacent corner down here. So we'll get 2 in so it won't fall apart on me. Then we can put the battery in and run a quick test and see what's going on. Okay, got 2 in. Let's put the battery in. Now, while I'm doing this, if your transmitter is under warranty, and Horizon would fix it for free, Spektrum, I'd definitely send it into them. I wouldn't be doing this, but flying season coming up, it's bad, and I've got what I think is needed to fix it. So, with that, let's put this back on. All right, now let's turn it on. Okay. Let's get where you can see everything again.
AS3X mode. Safe mode. AS3X mode. AS3X mode. AS3X mode. Safe mode. AS3X mode. AS3X mode. Safe mode.
Okay, I think we got a success. If you don't like the angle in which the switch is at, that's pretty simple. You just have to loosen that back up again. I think it's easier on the middle switch. Loosen that back up. Twist it just a little bit to where it's where you want it. And I'm going to tighten it back up. They probably make a, I'm assuming they make a tool for this, but I don't have that tool. I'm trying to compare it to the other switch over here. So, on the other switch, and the problem is the switch likes to twist with the screw.
Time remaining 4 minutes, 0 seconds. Time remaining 5 minutes.
Sorry, I'm pressing buttons like crazy trying to tighten this for you, but I did want to show you. Okay, I think we're in. I don't think it's twistable.
AS3X mode. AS3X mode. Safe mode.
Alright, so we got a new switch. Now all I got to do is put the screws back in the bottom, 8 of them, already put 2 in. Then I'll show you one last time. I'm going to put the handle on, put it in like this, lift it up, 2 screws here, and you're back to a fully functioning, repaired transmitter. Pretty easy. If you have any questions, post them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. If you like what you see, like it, subscribe to my channel. That'll encourage me to make more videos related to RC planes. Thanks everybody for watching.